So the drill I would start to do this, to train really anyone, would be a good setup, okay, a good grip, toe down with the right wrist like fully bent back, even though in a real swing I'd bend it back a little more gradual, just a drill, even halfway back. Right wrist bent back, toe in front of the heel. I'm gonna work down during my downswing, hit the ball, hold my finish, and my right wrist should still be bent. I only can do this with as long of a swing and as fast as I can control it, right? So that for you, Mark, might be literally here only. Toe in front of the heel, keep the right wrist bent. So let's just hit a little shorty. Toe in front of the heel, keep the right wrist bent back. Now notice here, I didn't change anything. Here's my finish. So see how my right wrist is still bent. If I throw it, the club head gets left of my hands. If I keep my right wrist bent back, it's right of my hands. Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about the hanger training aid. Now, I don't know if you've seen this or used this before, but it is absolutely my new favorite training aid. This hanger here creates and controls what I think is the most important part of the swing, which is the wrist angle. It snaps right on. It takes me probably 30 seconds to put on. I can put it right in my golf bag. And best of all, the main trait of a training aid that's really good is you can hit balls with it. You can actually hit balls with it. So I love this hanger training aids. I've been using it probably for the past 6 to 7 weeks in my own game. You may have seen me in videos talk about, hey, I'm really trying to get my left wrist flat at the top. Look at when I do that well, how that sits on my forearm. Now watch when I cut my wrist, how that comes off. Immediate feedback for where my wrist angle's at. I like to use this even during my takeaway. When I set it up here, I like to keep it between my arms during my takeaway, press it against my left wrist for flat left wrist at the top, press it more against. Look at when I press it against, how that shallows my shaft, that keeps my club face square to close, helps me hit from inside. So I absolutely love this. I firmly believe that this is good for every single golfer. There's no one that can have too flat of a left wrist. One of the few things that all good ball strikers have, we're trying to have. Flat left wrist, right? Super easy to use, incredible immediate feedback. With the coupon code GogornoGolf.com, it's only $59, and I can actually hit balls with it and get instant feedback. Yes, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's about as compressed as I can hit a ball, and that's the main point of this hanger. Iron compression. You're gonna absolutely love it. We'll put all the details down in the description down below. Hey guys, Eric here out at the Bethlehem Golf Club. In today's video, we have a viewer question from Mark from Instagram. Hey Eric, love your content. Thank you, sir. I've been struggling recently with the right arm / hand in the downswing in particular, as I tend to cast / flip. Can you provide any tips or drills? Thanks. So struggling with the right arm, hand, tend to cast or flip any drills. So there's a couple things here to consider with when someone struggles with the right arm. I would say, 80+% of the time, someone struggles to have the right arm, right wrist bend look at impact that we're looking for. They've got a club face or club path / angle of attack problem. Basically what I mean is your brain is throwing the right wrist to fix an earlier problem. Now, if we look at what that fix is, let me just grab my little club face alignment tool. When I throw a club face, what I'm doing effectively is squaring a club face, part one. So if I take a club face that's pointed over here, and all I do, so you can see that's pointed away from me, pointed to the right, and all I do is flip my wrist, notice where that points, to the left. Now, what's the problem with doing that? Why can't I just do it? Notice not only did that make it point more to the left, but it also made it point more up towards the sky, which means it adds loft, which means it's gonna go high and short. Look at my right wrist when I do that. Fully flat, right? Even past flat, it's actually inflection. Now, if we have a right wrist like we want, which is bent back in extension, I'm able to transport that. Notice I still squared the club face, but look at the difference in the angle. So that ball is going to launch lower and go much farther with the same speed compared to that angle. See the difference between those two? That angle. So if I just, even with a wedge here, and then we'll kind of go into this. I've got a 56-degree wedge. I'm just going to hit a little shot where I keep my right wrist bent back forever. Just a 3/4 one, and we'll see the loft and how far it goes. So that one felt to me like I kept my right wrist bent back as long as I could. Now let's pull up the things that matter here. Okay, so I hit that. Let's see these two. Dynamic loft. I hit that 120 yards with 35 degrees of loft. So this sand wedge I have is 56 degrees. Here's why that's a great question mark and why it's so important. I took 56 degrees, which is the normal loft of the club at setup. So here's just like 56 degrees. If my shaft is level, it's 56 degrees right there relative to the ground. And I turned it into 35. Now notice for me to do that, where'd my shaft have to go? Here's 56, here's 35. My shaft had to go forward, which is shaft lane. Now if my shaft is forward, what do my wrists need to do that? My right wrist needs to be bent back, okay? Now let's do the second version, and this is just like 101 stuff, Mark. We're gonna get into like drills and stuff for you in a minute, but for those that are like, hey, what does this even matter? Now I'm gonna do the same, I'm gonna try and get the same speed, but I'm gonna try and throw it. So let's see what my speed was on that last one, just so I know. So my club head speed was 84. So I'm gonna try and do the same speed, but I'm gonna try and throw this where I have a lot more loft, maybe the normal loft, 56, and we'll see the difference in distance. All right, so I threw that. I feel like I threw it a lot right from the top, and honestly, I probably could have done a better job, but let's see if we got that correct here. Okay, so there we go. So I had 44.7 degrees of loft, and I hit it 106 yards. So I added almost 10 degrees of loft, and I lost, what'd I go, from 120 to 106, so 15 yards. So I could probably even throw it a little bit more, right, if I'm really like this at impact. Because I still took 56 and turned it down 10. So I'm gonna try and get the shaft number neutral here. See if I can do it. Yeah, that one felt like I really threw it. So let's see, just so you can see like, wow, when I'm able to do this, if I learn to do this, I might be able to literally hit it 20 yards farther, right? That's the whole point here. Okay, so there we go. I had 49.7 degrees of loft and I hit it 81 yards. Now it felt a little slower. Let's see if I cheated you guys there. No, okay, so 82 miles an hour. So almost the same speed. I hit it 40 yards different with my sand wedge from keeping my right wrist bent back longer versus throwing it. That's how important this is. Now, beyond that, how do I learn how to do it and why wouldn't I do it? Well, remember that whole spiel I just went on was to say that, or started with, by throwing it, I square my club face up. So it's imperative that I have my club face square enough so that I can keep my right wrist bent back, have my shaft leaning forward, and still have a square club face. There's gonna be a little bit of arm rotation, but I have to have my club face square so that I don't have to throw it to square it. How do I do that? I would start by ensuring your club face, you know, if you were, let's say at cogornogolf.com sending your videos, I would mark, check your grip first. Like we overlook grip all the time. Make sure your grip is strong enough. The V's are by your right collarbone, right shoulder. And I would start here by making half swings and make sure that your club face is tilted down. So if we look at this angle, my angle of my leading edge here, this angle, should be the same angle as my spine. That would be an appropriate club face. If it's too toe up like this, that's too open at this point. I'm going to want to flip it to square it. So I want it toe down where it's the same angle as my spine. So what I would start with, Mark, is little shorties to keep the loft down. Make sure your grip is good. Take the club halfway back. Make sure the toe's in front of the heel, okay? The club face will feel like it's pointed down towards the ground. Depending upon your grip, your logo might be in different places, but the toe's got to stay in front of the heel. So I'd go here, my right wrist at this point, just for the sake of the drill, I would bend it back, keep it bent back, keep it bent back. So when I finish, even when I hit, I'm gonna hold this and hold my right wrist. See how my right wrist stays bent back? It doesn't throw, bent back. Now in a real swing, it's gonna throw some, but you're saying you throw too early. So you gotta feel like the right wrist stays bent back forever. So the drill I would start to do this, to train really anyone, would be a good setup, okay, a good grip, toe down with the right wrist like fully bent back, even though in a real swing I'd bend it back a little more gradual, just a drill, even halfway back. Right wrist bent back, toe in front of the heel. I'm gonna work down during my downswing, hit the ball, hold my finish, and my right wrist should still be bent. I only can do this with as long of a swing and as fast as I can control it, right? So that for you, Mark, might be literally here only. Toe in front of the heel, keep the right wrist bent. So let's just hit a little shorty. Toe in front of the heel, keep the right wrist bent back. Now notice here, I didn't change anything. Here's my finish. So see how my right wrist is still bent. If I throw it, the club head gets left of my hands. If I keep my right wrist bent back, it's right of my hands. And if we look at my takeaway, my toe should have been in front of the heel. Now to scale that, I hit that 50 yards total, okay? My dynamic loft was 33, 50 yards. So a lot of times we'll practice this mark and someone will say, hey Eric, well, yeah, okay. Like, I don't know why I go into that voice right away, but not everyone sounds like that. But hey, why do I gotta do it slow? Why can't I do it full swing, full speed? Because you're not ready yet, right? It's like, you go into Spanish 1, you're like, hey, why can't I speak Spanish fluently in a Spanish speaking country? You would never think that. Like, yeah, of course I gotta go through Spanish 1, and then Spanish 2, then Spanish 3. Hey, when I'm learning how to walk, why can't I just sprint right away? You would never think that, right? It's the same thing with golf swing mechanics. You gotta learn how to do it short and slow and then build up. So this mark, that little drill we did, you might need to do this for an entire week and then do it as a warm-up for 12 months. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, 12 months of like continuous practice to start. When I warm up every time now, I put a towel under my arms to get my body moving, and I put that little hanger drill in. And I'm gonna probably do that all year, okay? I'm not like graduating from that. So just to scale that here, setup, we're gonna say most people throw because the face is open. How do we eliminate that? Grip strong enough, tilt the face down, keep the right wrist bent back forever. Now I did it successfully at 50. How do I know if I did it successfully? 1, your right wrist should still be bent back when you finish. 2, you probably use video. Okay, you probably use video. So set up, club face tilted down, right wrist bent back forever. Let's go a little bit longer. Look at my finish. Exaggerated. Club still right in my hands. Why would I want that? Because that's the impact position I want, right? So there I had 38 on my dynamic loft, 88 total, right? And you just kind of bring this up. Now I might get good at that with my 56, and then I slowly work my way up, right? Maybe a 52 degree. Maybe I take my pitching wedge next. I'm still gonna do the same thing. I would do this in levels. Can I do it at hip high, or half swing, and then ramp up the speed there until it falls apart, then slow it down, build it up, then go 3/4, then go full, slowly but surely. I would look at it like, hey, what do I need to do so 6 months from now or a year from now I actually have this good? And if you looked at it like in a year from now, I'd have this good, you would go shorter and slower and take your time more, always. We just look at it like work now or it doesn't work at all, and that's not how it works. So grip good, I'm gonna tilt it down here, right wrist bent back forever. I'll try going shoulder to shoulder. And I'd be looking at it on video, seeing, hey, did I actually have the club face tilted down? When I finish, is my right wrist actually bent and the club head right in my hands, right? So you can check those things. So that was a pitching wedge. I hit 27 degrees of loft, 139.9. Now that's how I hit that pitching wedge almost full that same distance, right? Why I'm able to get it to go so far is because I'm really exaggerating the loft. So that would be what I would do in terms of the right wrist. First things first. And then the right arm, right? If we just take a quick peek at like what a good impact position looks like, married with the quick zoom, we're gonna pull up, let's just pull up a iron example. So we'll pull up Grant. I like Grant from down the line a lot. And let's get this started. Just to show you, let's show like a setup versus impact. The right arm should be a little more bent. The right wrist should be more bent. Let's get Grant on here. Because the next key to keeping your right arm bent is going to be making sure your body's in a good enough position. So there's setup and there's impact. So clearly there, the right arm is more bent. This is more bent. And then from the face on, you would be able to see that the right wrist is more bent, right? So if we look at that, and then let's get him on his face on like Adam Scott we looked at in the last one, you would see at impact that his right wrist is more bent. So let's look at there versus kind of here. So right arm more bent, right wrist more bent from impact to setup. Now, notice for him to do that, hang on one second here. Notice for him to do that, he has to have good body motions. If you're going to bend your arm more, your body can't get farther from the ground, right? I see that all the time. Like this headline and this headline, you have to be able to stay within those. So if I'm 3.5 feet from the ball and my right arm and right wrist are bent a certain amount, and I want them more bent at impact, my head better darn well not get farther from the ground. I mean, how could that possibly work? Look at his body. Look at his body there. Look at his head motion compared to where he started and where he is. Look at how bent over he is, right? How his right shoulder's down. So you have to get the body motions to get the right arm. Now, some people will train that, like, how do I stop throwing my right arm? Some people will train that by saying, hey, keep your right arm bent forever, and that will teach you how to get your body closer to the ground. And I'm cool with that. Or you can make sure your body's closer to the ground, and then you have to bend your right arm and right wrist to be able to even hit the ball. We always do the example from down the line. If I hold my arms out, this is my setup position, let's say. My right wrist is flat, my right arm's, if this is 180 degrees, it's probably 165, something like that. So depending upon the player, it's slightly bent. So my club's all the way out here. Now, if I bend my right arm and bend my right wrist, you see how that club gets farther from where I started. That's the ground, right? Like Mary likes to put on the wall, the ground. So if I bring that down, look at this. That's above the ground. So how do I hit the ball from there? Well, either I straighten my arm and throw my wrist, or my right shoulder's got to go down and forward. I have to increase forward bend and side bend to have that equal out. Check that out. Here's my setup. Right arm bent, right wrist bent like impact would be about here. My body turns, that gets the shaft forward, and my chest and right shoulder go down and forward to get to the ball. So you got to have this right side crunch, right shoulder down and forward to have the right arm bent. So as you're learning that little right wrist piece, you can do that as a little drill. Have the right arm bent and bend your wrist back. Like, how the heck do I get that to impact? Turn and bend down. So your right shoulder will feel like it works more down and forward, your right chest down and forward. That'll help get the right arm bent, and you're keeping your right wrist bent back. That'll be a piece that'll keep both of those bent. So that's how I would work on it, and I would check from down the line, draw a line down the front of my head and the top of my head, and make sure that I'm on those during the downswing. If you come up from the line or back from the line, both of those get me farther from the ball, which require me to throw my arm and my wrist. If this is my height of my head and I get taller, I have to lengthen. If this is the front of my head and I get farther, I have to lengthen. So you want to stay in that box and use video, right? Use video for that. So one more time, your chest and shoulder will go down a little more. You're keeping the club face square on the way back, right chest and shoulder down and forward. Keep your right wrist bent forever. That would be a piece that'll really help keep the arm and wrist bent, get the shaft more forward, lower the dynamic loft. So Mark, keep in mind with these, like I mentioned, when you see an impact fault, a lot of times your brain's athletically trying to make up for something earlier on. So you got to check your club face, grip, toe in front of the heel during the backswing. And then you could have a slew of things at the top that could be making you steep. You know, when I throw my wrist, just real quick, last thing, as I throw my wrist, notice that also shallows my angle of attack. So if I'm coming real steep normally, you might be throwing that to shallow it out late. So ultimately, I'd have to see your swing mark. You can check out CogornoGolf.com. Any of you guys watching, if you want us to check out your swing, send in your questions. We can give you specific answers. Hey, here's why your right wrist throws, okay? Yeah, that drill's good, but you need this, this, and this, right? And help identify the priority. So ultimately, I'd love you all to check out CogornoGolf.com. We'll put that on the screen. If you guys have a question you want us to make a video like this about, leave it in the comments down below. We're gonna pick a couple each week, both here and on Instagram. If you guys like the video, click that thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching.